What is up, risk takers? Welcome to the Kill Pete strategy. I am Pete. I am a top player in the game of Risk Global Domination. I have a daily release schedule on YouTube and I stream on Twitch frequently. Check my page for the upcoming schedule. If you are interested in getting better at the game of Risk, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and come along the ride with me. And if you're able to support me on Patreon, help me continue to do this work, I would be most grateful. Join my Discord and get notifications for when I go live on Twitch. For today's episode, we are doing the interview with Johnny007. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm great. Welcome to the show. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I got a good amount of topics here for us to go through. So I did a little bit of preparation. Hopefully everything can go pretty smoothly.
I'm honored. What do you got for me?
So the first one I wanted to ask you is what is your hot take, Pete? What is your hot take? If you have one. Man. I have mine if I can buy you a little bit of time.
Yes. Yeah, give me an example.
Yeah. So I think people should have to take a driving test every 4 years.
That's not that hot. I think people should be licensed to reproduce. What are you talking about driving tests?
I'm saying like every 4 years you have to go through and do it. I'm more for smaller government, but this is a big thing to be like, it's the most dangerous thing we do like every single day, and people are just shitty at it. They suck.
Well, of course. People are shitty at almost everything they do. Like if we were going to really solve that problem, we would be like, let's expedite public transit and self-driving cars. I don't want to drive anymore. I don't want to take that the responsibility for my health, for other people's safety. I don't want to drive. Like it's not a pleasure. Right? Give me public transit that's cheap and works, please. Like yesterday.
I agree with you.
Yeah, man. But no, like what I sort of get your point, right? What is the example of a hot take? Like something that you kind of see as self-evident, but other people would be like, wow, that's an out there idea. Well, I'm full of those, my friend.
What's your one? If you could implement it today, what are you choosing?
Opt out for organ donation.
Okay.
So
I guess that's the Canadian thing.
It's not even you guys have opt-in systems as well, right? Organ donation is not considered a default.
So you're saying forcing people to do it?
No, I'm not. I'm saying change the onus, right? Instead of having the default presumption be out, the default presumption is in.
Okay.
Right? And all of a sudden you have a ton more. Am I going to get good dice? No!
I thought about risk. I thought about pushing a little bit, but I was like, I'm going to win.
Oh, I'm a greedy fuck.
I 100% am too.
Yeah. I'm going full greed, sir. You know what I mean?
God.
Like the...
Oh, God, Pete. No, Pete, you have to hit him.
No, he will not. He will take his own bonus.
That's your hot take. Like, this is the other thing that I wanted to go into. Like, risk. Like, grandmasters respect each other way too much. Like, too much goodwill within the community. Because,
like good neighbor, like in game.
If you get this, like you're gonna win if you get this. Like we can't stop you, in my opinion.
I'll just take your own bonus. What do you mean?
Yeah, but you're gonna be getting a +6 immediately.
Yeah, I know.
And, like
I saw what I did.
you shake the game, whereas but the rest of us don't.
But it's progressive.
It is, but six troops, you're getting more than anybody else except for Pink. Like I don't know. Like for me. It's a scenario of like now you have set yourself up to win the game. So like what can I do to fight back against you? And for me, I don't see many lines to do that. So do I go for the win or do I try to like get a better place in? Like if we were in a tournament. So like in a pub game, I would definitely go for the win. I would break you here because like you're gonna win.
So then do it. Play your best game. I wouldn't be heartbroken if you did. Also, I think your start is particularly bad, right? You just got really unlucky with your RNG there.
Yeah, so I want to break the strongest player to make everybody equal and then hope one of them hits each other.
That makes sense. My goal. That totally makes sense to me.
But in a scenario like this where I'm going to get eaten if I try to do that.
Well, then why don't you just take your own bonus then? Hey, man, play your best game. I'm not here to influence you.
No. You see, I don't want to be the one that breaks you. I want somebody else to do it.
Well, then your theory about grandmasters being too nice to each other isn't exactly the way it is.
That's true, but I just know that you'll suicide me, Pete, if I break you.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think taking a greedy bonus turn 1.
See, for me, I'm definitely a very. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be greedy too, Pete. Next few turns here.
I think you should.
But for me, I'm like overly greedy, but also like I make sure that it's within reason. Like I play very logically. That's like the way that I kind of do math within the game and within my life. So like logically here, like somebody has to break you now.
Oh yeah.
And
I made it worse.
I mean,
oh yeah.
If somebody doesn't break you here, it's up to me, and then I'm dead. Like
someone's got to deal with this. This is the real problem now.
And this is like where alliances would help. Of like, please attack red. Like I beg you. But
so that's what I saw with these settings. I was like, the blizzards make certain bonuses very easy to hold.
Yeah.
So you would want alliances.
Yeah.
I would assume.
For me, I just always default to no alliance because I always get kind of annoyed when people are quote unquote teaming up against me. If there's an alliance in there, I know if they're an alliance, that's fine. But if I have no alliances and they start teaming me, I know what's up. Otherwise, like you really don't understand. Like there's a capability of them actually being allied and you not understanding that and just getting angry over it. So
well, so there's a hot take, right? The whole thing about how often you hear players in the community complain about getting collabed on versus how often collaboration actually occurs versus what could we do in a meaningful sense to solve it. And I think it's so obvious to me that just saying, hey, let's not make two of the same accounts able to play each other within a certain amount of time, just hard ban it, would at least allow SMG to stand up publicly and say, this is what we've done about it. This is our solution.
This is disgusting, Pete.
What? The fact that you're not going to break me? Whose fault is this now?
I can't really break you effectively. Like I can, but then I'm dead.
That's right.
Like,
good. That's what I wanted to happen. Are you gonna break both? You're gonna break both, you motherfucker!
Pete, in your video, what do you say? If you're gonna break one,
he's gonna break both. You're the worst. Don't do it. No.
I'm gonna retaliate. It's gonna
happen
anyway.
You hurt my feelings. My feelings, though. I needed my bonus.
See, Pete, now, I mean, I don't want to be like all VC and stuff, but like we can be friends now.
Can we?
I think that we can if you want to be friendly here, you know?
Can we, though?
Hey, I slowed you down for one turn. It makes me feel better. You know, can you trust me?
I don't think I can trust you. I think you're the worst.
No, I'm not set up to hit you. That's strategically why.
Well, I'm set up to hit you. That's for sure.
See, I left in Russia purposely on that turn to make sure you couldn't retake it all. So like now you're a turn behind. Like that's how I logically do things. Of like me leaving it in there was like a point of making sure you couldn't take at least one bonus back. Like you're gonna take one, but not both. So I mean. I play logically. I also go through and like if somebody does a kill attempt on me, you've seen me in games and they fail, I'll do everything to hit them as hard as I can because I know I'm gonna lose now. Like it's time to go through and like suicide them. Like even on a GM game, I'm down to go through and suicide on you if you went through and hit me and didn't get the kill. Like I have no patience for that.
That's pretty consistent. I mean, I don't presume to play logically. I'm actually probably as far on the other side of that spectrum as you can be and still be a top player. Like I leverage my intuition, I leverage my understanding of player psychology kind of as best as possible. Okay, so now you're gonna break Sam, right? Now your job as board police is to turn your attention to Sam, who has two. No, I don't think so. I think that's your job because you have put on the badge as board police. And to protect and serve the future well-being of all of the people of Earth 2209. So
my job is to take this bonus and see if you and me can come to an agreement and not hit each other.
Right.
That's my job.
Right.
So, I mean, and also one of the things I think is very overlooked is that 12 troops, even in a game like this, one troop can make a lot of difference, Pete. Like, logically for me, like, at 12 troops, I'll do an extra attack one turn just to see if I can keep that amount. Like, I'm probably going to get hit here and lose it. Like, it was, in my thought process, it could be worth keeping 12 troops. Like, I'm hoping to hit somebody else. Just stop, purple. Don't do it to me. Don't do it to me here. Okay, good. Now I get one extra troop, which doesn't seem like a lot, but like it definitely can help.
Yeah, putting an 8 is good.
Let's see here. I'll leave you alone after this, Pete. I have to go for the play here.
Okay, so now you have 2 bonuses. Now it's okay though for you to have 2 bonuses, right?
But see, you had a bonus turn 1. Now you and me are in equality.
I like equality.
So you and me are now the top 2 people in this game as long as I don't get broken. That's the way I do math. Of like now, like especially in the VC, like I played in the 2 GM tournaments where we did VC, and one of the other things I want to talk about, like the GM community. It's a great community. I like talking to it, but like you have to earn your respect, just like any other community. And I would get like teamed on basically, which was okay in the game because we were in VC, just because they didn't know my name as much.
You think?
I did. I mean,
okay.
I like playing with Spud, but he gave the win to the other guy in our last game because he didn't want to play anymore, and he just didn't recognize my name. So, like, we played a super long Earth 2209, and then he gave the win to the other guy inside of our GM tournament. And, you know...
For no reason or a reason that didn't make sense to you.
Exactly. So, like, there's rationality of, like, what he said was, hey, whoever hits the other person first is the one that will, like, go on. I hit the other person as hard as I could, and then he comes behind and weakens me and lets the other guy kill me. But it's, like, that loyalty that has been gained, you know, it's something that can only be earned at that point. And it's something good about the community, but also it makes it harder to break into, right? But also, I think that people come, they stay because they enjoy it. So.
Yeah, I've had my my non-representative experience with this community, so I can't speak to whether or not you're right or wrong there.
And one of the things for me, I want to give you another hot take, Pete.
Please,
I
love it.
I hate 6-player classic fixed.
Why?
Especially when you're playing with people that, like, say a GM game. If you go 5 or 6, you're donezo. Like, in my opinion, like you're not winning. Like, you have no chance. You will die. Like, the odds of you going through and winning are just so low. And then also, like, it becomes very lucky inherent on the set. If you get a 10 set, you might got a chance to come back from 5 or 6. But if you don't get a 10 set on 3, you're about done at that point because everybody's established their bonus within the first 4 turns.
Yeah. I had my own kind of love-hate relationship with Classic Fixed. Like, I begrudgingly started doing that sort of weekly series on it because it was the thing that everyone played.
Yeah.
And now I think it's more... Somehow I learned how to love it. Ooh, I want to do something bad.
Don't do it, Pete.
No, I'm gonna.
You dirty dog! So much. Oh. Is he? Oh. I thought you were just going for another bonus, Pete. Oh, hit him, Blue. Hit him. You got a 9 right there, boss. You can do it.
He can't really hurt me. Right?
Blue can definitely hurt you.
He can hurt me, but he can't really hurt me.
Yeah, I guess that's going to put our theory to the test, right? Is he going to suicide you or is he going to hold?
He should suicide me because his game is over. Or, like, what do you do in his situation? You stack? Someone's going to eat you for your cards in 2 turns. There's no game there.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets a lucky set on 3, he might have a chance here, though. I'll see pink lashing out. I like.
Yeah, like the follow-up, the 4 set and then the 20? Maybe. That would be the way he would hurt me. That's true.
Yeah. So he tries to stack in a single position as far away from you as possible. See, yeah, he just goes. He's not suiciding, but he's still hurting you.
Pretty
Oh,
good.
he didn't even slow roll you there, Pete. Oh no, he is suiciding.
No, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's about what I expected to happen.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I would do. You or I should maybe have. I mean, I guess purple wasn't valuable last turn, but purple is definitely quite teeny. About to get a good amount. Okay. Well, also one of the other things I wanted to ask about in tournament games, especially GM, why don't we do manual setup? I want to get your thoughts on that.
Like, why is manual setup not the norm?
Yeah, I mean, we all go to a bonus, and especially in a fixed game, we all go to a bonus. We go through and figure it out. We become good neighbor. Then somebody breaks somebody, and it all works out that way. Why not just inherently start that at the first turn?
Well, because then the RNG moves from your original opener to your turn order.
But could you be greedy as well? Of say for Troy, that map that was in the tournament several weeks ago, there were small enough bonuses where we could have manually done it. And if somebody takes one of the 2 spot bonuses and then goes in front of you, you just know that they basically screwed you for the whole game. So they basically done bad neighbor.
Your original complaint about how turn order and fixed matters is exacerbated by manual setup. Yeah, I find
some maps that could be useful for that.
There's a lot. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not against manual setup. I think manual setup is a great tool and it's a great knob to turn, just like anything else. But it has its time and its place. So when to use it wisely is an interesting question. Now what do you do? Yeah, you just line up your stack at me. That feels good. I like that.
There's another side over there.
That feels great. Yeah, I like it. Please.
It's really this is a move on purple. I want purple to feel comfortable here. That's my goal, because if purple doesn't have a set, they might be dying next turn.
Well, then you should probably hit purple.
Yeah, I mean, it's just for me, like, I like doing the 2-stack play at this point. Oh, good game. What are you doing?
Maybe he's got cards on 3, like we said.
Well, I guess he's just gonna kill him because you wiped him out there. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's a brutal situation, but I'm sorry, Bluepo. Nothing personal, sir.
It's always personal, Pete. It's always
no, it wasn't. It's a game, right? I was like, what's going to happen is I'm going to hit him brutally. He's going to retaliate against me. Then I'm going to retake. I'm going to have a better position. And someone else is going to eat you. Too. Yeah, that's true. Now you get him.
They would have just left their stack.
But you're not open to purple. Ooh, how are you going to kill purple? You still get enough troops. Yeah, you're going to. You're going through me? Get fucked. No, you're not.
Where am I going to get? How do I go through to get him besides you?
You have a 14.
I'm saying if I fail with that amount of troops, I'm going to go through you.
No, you're not. You're going to be my best friend. Oh, no. Oh, no. The fucking feed. Now Sam gets it.
No,
silly ass game. Oh, man.
That's the type of stuff that I laugh at. I'm like, no, everything was going perfect. Yeah, why? All right. Well, I'm going to go to some of the harder topics now. Some of the stuff I had thought through.
Yes.
Before this. So let's see here. Where do I want to go? So one of the things I firmly believe is that you should not be in 100% agreement with your quote unquote political party. And, I lean more conservative, but I also think the environment is a massively important thing. And I would say conservatives blindly follow their leadership in this scenario.
Okay.
And I wholeheartedly disagree with it. I get very annoyed when people just follow and are just sheep. I mean, COVID kind of pushed that very, very heavily for me. And I mean, I think you've talked about that before, where just overall people just followed instead of self-thinking. I mean, and I'm fine with openly sharing this. I got vaccinated. My wife didn't. We hedged. You just never know with the future, right? And we want to have more kids and so on, just to be safe,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Because you never know how bad a disease can get, even our best experts, right? So, just for me, I just feel I would say that people just follow too blindly in this day and age, and we're less educated than we ever have been in that political sense.
Okay. That's a lot of questions simultaneously. Which
Yes.
way would you like me to go
Yeah.
with it?
I would like you to talk about your thought process on breaking away from the political party. I know you disagree with
Sure. Yeah.
having
Okay.
those
So
more
so
set
the
up.
very first point is that um, political parties are undemocratic,
Mm.
to my view. Right. In order to enact political action, we are asked to group together. In larger and larger agglomerations of people who won't agree, don't agree, and can't agree, and that is a structural flaw, the way I see it. So, why can't we, given the level of technology we have today, um,
Oh my God.
represent ourselves and represent the full spectrum of decisions that we each embody and exemplify?
I mean, for me, I wholeheartedly agree with you there, Pete. But for me, how do you think the voting system would work? I know you talked about having the mobile system in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I just feel like that opens it up to such fraudulent voting. I can have like 5 phones. Like, so how do you make sure that we track effectively who's voted, how much they've voted, and if they're in the right county? What if I move to a different county and my local ordinances are being voted on? Like, I just feel like it's going to create such a ease of breaking things and doing things incorrectly that
Yeah.
people will
Well, so
inherently
so
just
here's so
mess it
here's
up.
the difference. Here's the difference. Juxtapose something like that could be exploited by bad actors with what we have now, which is an entrenched, wealthy political class that gets to write their own laws and give themselves raises. So it's a bit of the devil you know versus the devil you don't, but also what we currently have is a kleptocracy. And we accept this as
Can you
normal.
explain that for me, Pete?
A
I mean,
kleptocracy.
I don't know what it is, and it might be somebody else that's listening to us doesn't know what it
Yeah.
is.
Okay. A kleptomaniac is a person who compulsively steals. So a kleptocracy is a government by thieves. Right. They are the 1% or the 0.1% of people. This wealthy business elite, political elite. They are robbing us blind. And that's
Yeah,
fine. Accept your slavery. Enjoy it, right? It's fine. But don't pretend,
and,
don't look me in the eye and tell me you're free. That's the
yeah,
part that I take exception to.
and for me, Pete, I definitely believe a lot more in less government oversight and less government impact. Some of the wealthiest counties in the whole entire United States are centralized around Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Predating the fall of Rome, the wealthy counties started to exist around Rome, directly around the capital at that point. So, just the thought process for me, one of the questions later I'll have is like the thoughts of the world and where we're going to be at, 50 years from now or 75 years from now, the world that we're leaving to our children and where we're going to be, where the United States is going to be playing in that. I guess that could be a good segue to that question, not to stay on one topic for too long, of like, I think the United States will eventually fall out of relevancy in terms of we're spending too much money helping others relative to helping ourselves. Um,
Mm, you're not helping others, you're helping yourself to others.
yes and no, but I mean, this is kind of like bringing a few questions together. I mean,
Sure,
for
yeah.
me, the Americans, I would say, are one of the most hated nationalities in the world. I mean, I don't think many people would disagree too much with that.
Well,
Um,
they put on that badge of board police and said we're gonna take all of your oil wealth for your sake, right? This is white man's burden. The
Somebody needed to jump in though, but Canadians, just like you say, are very, very smug. I would say that they're very closely related to Americans. They've gained privilege, I think, from
Oh yeah,
Americans.
yeah. No, I'm not sorry. I'm not
Um,
pretending for a second to class Canadians as separate or superior. We exist at the grace of the gigantic empire to the south,
Yeah.
right? We would be a cold Australia, is how I put it, right? We are a
And you guys are allowed to
resource-rich
do
country.
things differently. You guys are allowed to do things differently because of us. And I mean, just like
Well,
Europe's allowed to do
not
things differently
not all
because
that
of us. I mean,
differently,
it's a
right? I don't think.
scenario of
Yep.
50 years ago, maybe Russia would have taken you guys if we weren't powerful. You know, when Russia was at the height of its power, and
Yep.
say we collapsed like the Soviet Union did, would Russia have taken Canada? I think it could have been a great move for them.
I mean, we are the United States. I don't think there's any sort of real difference in a meaningful sense. Like, why would Canada walk around pretending that we are different or superior? Um, we're
And
not.
then, but Canada doesn't foot the bill for being a quasi part of America at that point. I mean, that's my thought process. And like I said, I think things through logically.
Mm.
And I did a few simple maths here, just kind of like pull us through like calculations. So last year, $52 billion was spent on foreign aid. Military spending was 765 billion last year for the U.S. Or I guess this is actually the projected 2022 forecast. So if we could save a quarter of that of the um, defense budget and 80% of what we spend on foreign aid, we save 232.85 billion a year, which means that we can fully fund double our health care, like that's being provided by our nation, our education, and our environment and energy programs, and basically money that we're spending. So for me, we're helping out so much and we are giving nothing back. It's basically like people hate us and we help a lot more than what people realize.
Mhm.
So for me, like, and I did like one of the things I like to think is logically so people can understand, like in their life, average American makes 70 grand a year. That's basically like giving $10,500 a year to somebody who hates you and hates your family. It's
Sure.
basically what you're doing.
Well, what is the model of the U.S. global hegemony? Why does
So
the
the
U.S. get
model
to
used to be
continue to enjoy the stature on the world stage? Right? It is at the barrel of a gun.
and for me, I don't disagree with that point, but it's
Hmm.
adapting to the current times where the barrel of the gun isn't needed as much when there's nuclear bombs. Like we're not going to go through and fight Russia. I mean, they could really take Ukraine, and I don't think that we would bat an eye as much. It's more of when they reach our allies of like, are we going to do something? Are we going to step in? Because nobody wants to risk nuclear war. It's all over at that point. So like, at what point do we push too much of helping people and not helping ourselves? Especially when people don't, they really don't enjoy us helping them. Like everybody hates on us for doing so, and there are benefits to it. I'm not denying that, but there's also a lot of hate associated with it.
Yeah, I mean, if I had foreign soldiers in my country, it wouldn't shock me remotely that my citizenry, on average, had some amount of hate. Um, the way I see the United States fixing itself is getting money out of politics, getting business lobby out of politics, getting actual freedom for its citizenry, which won't happen. So, to your point, right about the fall of Rome, I think we do live to see the end of the U.S. global hegemony. Um,
So at what point do we realize that's coming, Pete? That's what I'm saying. Like logically, I think that
50
it's
years
coming.
ago, it was coming. Empires are cyclical. This is
Yeah.
right. The idea that we're in the Pax Americana, right, historically,
Mhm.
and we will see that story end. It's inevitable. This is not an if, it is a when. And I'm confident, say in 20 years, right? If we're going to have this conversation in 2042, we live in a multipolar political world again, right? We have the remnants of the EU, and we have the remnants of North America, and we have some kind of Eastern power. We probably have some kind of African power, right?
Mhm.
Africa is punching above their weight in terms of population replacement, which no other, not even the Asian nations, are keeping up with, right?
I
We're
think
running out of people.
yeah,
and, and the conversation around
you're going into
overpopulation.
some of my topics
Okay,
here. I didn't have too
good,
much on
good, good.
this one, but I wanted to talk about Elon Musk and his thought process of we are actually not growing enough in terms of population to sustain where we want to be or where we're at.
Yeah.
So you're actually like bleeding straight into like another one of my questions at that
Well,
point.
you know what, man? It's likely we do see a lot of things the same way. We don't have to agree on everything, but
Yeah.
the chances are, if you're a logical person, and I like to think of myself as a logical person, chances are we are living in the same world most of the time.
Yeah. And for me, I just think that there's a lot of emotion in the world, and I don't think emotion is necessarily wrong in every single situation. But I do think that logic should be the end, not end all. Trying to phrase it correctly here, Pete. It should
Mm-hmm.
be the first thing that comes to our mind because I think that a lot of politics nowadays is emotional. Um, oh,
Did you not like that? Does
I
that
did
make
not like that at
does that
all.
make you scared?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh
I
no!
don't, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna sit here. I could have waited. I had a wild. I could have waited, but like that's a strategic. I'm gonna kill you move. So, and I'm also trying to keep that little buffer between me and Black, not just so there's a little bit of like he has to go through somewhere else.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, but I just thought it was
Don't,
a really
don't worry. Don't worry.
interesting
I'm gonna help
question.
you out. I'm gonna help you out.
There we go. There we go. Are you actually going for the? Oh, love to see it. See, that's one of the things I need to start playing on computer, dude.
Yeah, this is hard on
Like
your
I could have
phone.
maybe made another move earlier, but I was like, I'm too slow. Like I'm way too slow. You're gonna break me? I shouldn't have told you I was on the phone.
I mean,
I think you would.
I would have
I think
found
you would
out.
have gone another way. I guess you were gonna break me anyway.
I would have found out.
Yeah. There we go. Bye, Sam.
Yeah, but now you got like twice my troops, so I don't think the
Well,
speed
I'm
advantage
also
is gonna
3
matter.
times as slow as you, Pete. Like,
Yeah, is that what it is? All right, let's
yeah.
see. Let's see if you have what it takes, sir, to capture the
Oh,
entire fucking board.
this is like that little scenario game that you were playing.
Which one?
So, remember you were doing that one against all where you started in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this feels like, but I'm slower than you, so I have pain.
You got the stack. That's a good start.
Yeah, I was definitely going to be hitting your stack no matter what. There, I had no choice. Yeah, I feel like I'm even slow compared to some of the other mobile people, and that was dumb. And also, talking to you is quite distracting.
So I hear, eh? This is the key challenge to the podcast. I win more than my fair share of games because I'm just used to playing Risk and talking at the same time.
Well, it's also like I played Kilted in the first GM tournament, and that man just kept on talking.
Yep.
He just kept on talking, and like one of the things I will always say that I was super annoyed. I'm not going to break everything, am I? Oh God.
Oh God. Nah, you got it. You got enough time.
If I stop talking for a second. Oh, that was dumb.
You bricked yourself twice, sir.
I'm better than this, but I'm not better than this.
Proof is in the pudding, as they say.
Oh God. Yeah, Kilton kept on talking and talking, and a guy missed that he took another second bonus, and he told us, everybody in the lobby in the VC, oh, he didn't take a second bonus. Like he clearly saw that he did, and that sunk everybody else's game because nobody could stop Kilton. Like he was gonna win. Like we weren't gonna be able to stop him after he got this. He got like a little mainland Europe bonus, so it was like game over.
He is very good at the game of Risk. Oh, he's got a set on 3! He's got a set on 3! No!
CP, I lied to you. I didn't use my wild.
Nice. Feeling good.
So, I mean, at this point, I just got to hope you don't get a set on 3, and your boy can just coast with his huge number of troops after I break you. So,
it's going to be a battle.
Well, I mean, and this little spot right here triggers me every single time.
Chile? Yeah. It's so tough.
I sat there for like 30 seconds just extremely triggered, Pete. Like, not even joking. I'm probably going to... Now I got to stop talking for a second just to make sure I break
For sure.
everything. Um, yeah, I'm also a little bit more about me, guys. I'm a CPA, so like I'm an accountant. So I go through and I'm like very logical and like I work through things using like system trees, and it's the way I've always been throughout my whole entire life. So I go through and I do the math around things relative to just emotional going through things. And I think a lot more people, like I was implying earlier, are more emotional than ever, in just a variety of things.
Why do you suppose that is?
I think that we're in a different day and age where you're allowed to be emotional. I think that people have such an easy life that logic doesn't need to be involved in their every single day life. And us sitting here and looking at 10-second clips, I think makes a huge difference as well of just the way that we mentally think about things and can process things. And I think that it's just easier to be emotional. It's not it's harder to be logical in things. It's extremely hard in my opinion. And you can't really go through and be emotional with every single aspect of your life. That's just going to set you up for failure. It's just not going to turn out very well. That's my opinion. I imagine there's some people that have done great using the emotional side of themselves. But for me, I just never experienced that. Good, bad, and different.
Well, the way I'd put it is I do not want to make decisions emotionally.
Hmm.
Right? I want to feel my emotions and process them and then decide what I'm going to do intentionally because I don't want to be a slave to how I feel.
I'm so, oh God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God. Everybody, it's okay. Put me on blast in the comments. It's fine. I expect it.
No, they're not like that.
No, I want it. I deserve to be punished.
Oh, yeah? You want to be blasted?
Because like clearly like this game was mine to win. And I would say like in a GM tournament especially, I'm scared to go in these scenarios. I have to be so far up in order to like have a chance. Like otherwise like I'm going to lose to the speed people. Like it's just gonna happen. There's no in between.
Well, that's why I took Sam when he did, right? We were mostly equal. He had 5 cards. That was going to leave me, what, at 100-ish troop deficit on you, assuming you didn't have an immediate set, which you did. But even that, controlling the board in 2209 seems to be the trick. Like, you just have so much material. When you hold it, even if everything is broken, you're still getting 30-plus troops a turn.
You're telling me, Pete.
Yep. I've done this once or twice, my friend.
Once or twice, you sure?
Yes, sir.
No, I mean, I'm definitely losing this now. I mean, I can basically pull the white flag and just be like, hey, Pete. Unless I get a set on 3. That's what we got to hope for here. If we get a set on 3, we have a pretty good chance of beating Pete. But otherwise, I'm going to die.
Let's see if you get
Am
it.
I slow compared to other... And I lost connection. I'm not even joking.
What?
That's the other thing that I forgot to bring up. They need to fix the connection issues, dude.
What's, like, what is the cause of it?
I don't know. Like my internet's very, very stable. I never like when I'm on like phone calls with work, perfectly fine. I'm on a very new age phone. It's not like it's a old crappy phone type of deal. It's like an iPhone 11, so it's very strong. Like some games, I can go like 3 hours. Like if it's a super hardcore game, like a Cats game, and not lose connection. And then like this game has been going on for what 30 minutes, and I'm losing so much. I've lost connection twice, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I play on my phone from time to time, but I've never had the connection issue that people seem to be so vocal about, but
I lost connection again, not even checking. There we go. We're back.
annoying.
Yes. Especially when you're in a winning position. Like if you host a game, I don't know if you can even join back.
Yeah, sometimes, it'll just break you.
All right, just kill me, Pete. I can't even click, bro. Not even joking. I
Yeah,
would
man.
tell you if I'm getting that glitch. I have 5 troops right now. I'm still gonna lose to you anyway because I don't have set on 3. But it's like I wonder if I can emote. Can I emote? Yes, and I can check the. I can't put down the troops though.
That bug.
Whatever.
We'll see what happens
Well,
in the new update, man, because
I saw
I'm
that
sure
come out
some things are
yesterday.
coming, yeah.
Um, All right. Well, one of the other things I wanted to talk about too was just high level homegrown food in the food chain is something that
Okay.
I find very interesting. Little bit of insight around my thought processes. I'm in Virginia, so we can grow a lot of food year round. We're not in a cold place like Canada as much. I've been gardening since I've been 5. I'm a firm believer that every single house should have a garden. That's what I think. I think that food tastes better. It's better for you. It's been proven of like nutrition. It's less fuel cost to move it all around. I mean, just imagine how much environmentally that impacts us um, due to the moving around of food. I mean, I'm getting stuff from Florida all the way up here in Virginia. I'm sure you're getting stuff from Florida up there in Canada.
Eating stuff from
So
from South America. It's
yeah,
crazy.
and some of that stuff, like I can understand, like mangoes, I can't get that stuff. I can't grow that here. I can grow tomatoes. I can grow cucumbers. I can grow potatoes. I'm on my second crop of potatoes this year. I grew 400 pounds of potatoes earlier this year, Pete. I mean, I went through and I weighed out all my stuff. I'm on about half an acre, and this is what I grew, Pete. 100 pounds of green beans, 50 pounds of blackberries, 100 pounds of strawberries, 150 plus pounds of potatoes. I think I'm at 400 now. 300 pounds of tomatoes, 150 pounds of onions, and 200 pounds of peppers. Um,
How are you so
so like,
busy?
so I have 2 kids at home too, so I like being outside.
Sorry.
So
Next game settings.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You
What do
can
you want?
do Africa, like the North Africa. I sent you the settings. Sorry, Advanced Europe. That's what it is.
Advanced
Advanced
Europe.
Europe.
Sure.
Same settings, no blizzards.
You got it.
Um, and I do something called no tilling, so I don't have to go through and till. I probably weed 5 minutes a week. I think that's what puts off a lot of people is the weeding and the time for that. The longest time that it takes me is to go through and plant things and harvest things. That's what it is. I enjoy being outside, like you. You know, you have your own lawn business. I enjoy being outside as an accountant. I'm inside a lot, so it gives me the initiative to go outside and do things. I think that you have to be drawn outside to do stuff. Otherwise, you're just going to sit on your butt the whole time. So.
Well, we evolved in a state of nature that we don't necessarily exist in anymore, right? The way the rationale I used to start my lawn business was my body evolved to walk around outside most of the time. So at least some part of the year I get to spend my time doing something I'm designed for, and it's really hard for me to finally give it up.
and and for me, I think that it's even deeper than that too. Like going through and like what you're saying is like that connection that outside what we were meant to do. We're not as connected to food as we used to be. Like we used to have to go and forage for everything. We used to grow our own food. It wasn't until very recent human history that we could be living in a place where we don't have to grow our own food. I mean, tons of families had cows. I mean, for milk not that long ago in our past, if you start looking back 200 years ago, I mean, everybody was growing their own food. Very, very rarely were they going out and getting stuff like we do now. I mean, think about like ice cream. How many people in history have experienced ice cream? Like, you know, how much of, a privilege that is to live in this society nowadays compared to what it used to be? I mean, the connection to food is massive. I mean, we throw out 30 to 40% of our food every single year, Pete. Just throw it out. And that's not including ugly food. Like, we just throw it away because we don't care.
Sounds to me like your common thread or theme to this show is you're identifying different systems of control, right? Why do you suppose it would be in the best interests of the powerful to keep us predictable, um, less free, less healthy? It's there are all of like the political system, the way the food, the way the environment, all of these things have a common thread, right? And the way I think about it is different systems of control that I may not be um, fully perceptive of, but I'm coming to understand the ways in which we are influenced.
And I agree with you. I don't like being controlled. I like to be able to do my thing and do it the way that I believe best. I don't want people to tell me like some of my conservative friends like shit on me for getting the vaccine, but I was like, I'm doing this for what I think is best, and my wife's not getting it because it makes sense for us at that point. Like, I don't know many families that went 50-50. That was a logical process that I went through. It might have been the right one. I mean, going either way of people's thoughts, but it was my choice and I elected to do it that way. Um, so for me, I don't like the amount of controls that are put on us now, Pete. I'm a very much smaller government person. still think government has its role, but it's way too involved now. And that I think the governments are coming more involved and are more important to the control process, where it used to just be the rich used to just control things with their money more, but now it's hidden behind government. So I agree with you at that point.
Well, okay. Are you familiar with 1984 versus Brave New World? Right, these two dystopian novels from the first half of the 20th century.
So I'm more of a fantasy reader, and then
Sure.
articles and more of like studies type of deal. I don't read as much
So,
that
so,
type of
so
comics.
George Orwell's dystopia looks like um, the Soviet Union, but to the nth degree, right? You have the circumstance where information is restricted to the point that they are inventing a new language to mitigate an individual's free thought. Right, you're essentially simplifying the English language so that the ability to have a nuanced thought is eliminated.
Yeah.
Um, and then Aldous Huxley paints this different picture of a dystopia where people are free to engage in any hedonistic pleasure they can possibly indulge in, and it's overwhelming. So the question is, what society will use as a system of control? Will it use restriction, or will it use abundance? And it looks like we live in an abundance model
Yep.
where we are inundated with information, we are inundated with pleasure, and it is being used as an intense distraction from things that are real and meaningful and important to actualize your life. Right?
Well,
We are
to that
addicted to a million different things.
and I think that we also had the ease of it, Pete. So it's so easy. We are choosing the easier path more now than ever in human history. Things used to be a lot harder. I mean, you don't have to go through and do things that hard, in my opinion. I mean, you can work a 40-hour week and come home, and you can live a pretty good life. I mean, United States, we talk about people that aren't living the best lives, but I mean, compared to other parts of the world, they're like the richest person there. I mean, scenario for me, the privilege that occurs in our current time is just so abundantly clear to me that people like I just don't understand how people don't see it. Like, we live in the best time in human history right now, and the best time could be 3 or 4 years from now, and then 5 years from now, as long as there's no nuclear war, Pete. So
Mhm. I don't think
so
there will be a nuclear war. I don't think that's a realistic concern.
I mean, for me, I hope that would be the case, but there's so much variability, Pete, that like it's just insane to me, of that there's so much power inside of two people's hands in the world. So
Yeah, who pushes the button?
yeah, and I mean, all it takes is one. It's not like there's one complete control, and there's no like way to intercept it as much. Like
So
once it gets to
I just
the
wanted to tell
atmosphere, it's
you
over.
I'm gonna do it again.
Oh god, Pete,
Ah!
see,
Oh, I
you
got
get
bad
angry
dice
with
though.
me.
I got
Yeah,
really bad dice. Look at
see,
that.
Pete, I'm a greedy motherfucker. Too. I
Ah,
just cussed
ah,
him out.
ah, ah.
Not me. I'm a greedy person too.
It's good. It's good. Dude, I can't believe how bad my dice were. Wow.
How bad were they? I want to go through and see.
Very bad. I had
Oh
what? I had a 9 stack?
yeah. So you lost 2 troops on the first roll, 2 troops on the second, and then one on the next one. That's insane.
Yeah,
Um,
quite
Also,
bad.
one of the other things I have I have a like screenshot of this. A 7-on-4 rolled me in zombies, Pete. I looked at it in the chat. I have a 7-on-4 zombies it was a game you and I were playing. I think it was like 28 days or whatever that map is,
Mm-hmm.
and literally it sunk my whole entire game.
That sucks.
So I think you were going to win anyway. You got gifted that bonus at the beginning, but it rolled a 7-on-4, and I was extremely triggered. So I have a screenshot forever saved now.
I don't pretend to know too much about zombies.
I always thought that it was double, and then it rolls you.
So they say.
Yeah, that's what they say to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and just give a little bit of context, like around that growing food, I went 15 days of just living straight off my garden, Pete.
That's
That's all I
awesome.
did. I ate straight from my garden. I thought about going to 31, but I could definitely tell like my muscle mass was going down.
Mm.
So I didn't want long-term thought process. Next year, I'm thinking about going to 31, in like the full month of July. But it's just that little bit of thought process difference, and I mean, it's the little things I think that add up. All right, well, I have a few other things I was going to keep on going through here. The time value of money. One of the things I think our generation and other generations still lack understanding of. So I wrote a few things down here for you. If you have $65,000 saved by the age of 32 and you don't invest another dollar for your whole entire life, you will retire at 64 years old with $1,040,000.
Say that one more time.
So if you have 65 grand in your like stock market
Yep.
at 32 years of age,
Yep.
at 64, you will have $1,040,000.
Based on what rate of return?
Based on I think it's 10% when you're younger. That's doubling every 8 years, where the common thought process is every 7 to 7.5. So I gave us even more time.
Yep. So this for people who are just kind of entering into their financial literacy, the concept of compound interest applies as a principle in many ways, not just financially in your life. But the power of compound interest is you'll only come to notice it as you get older. Right? It's kind of imperceptible at first because the real gains are all at the end when you're experiencing a doubling period coming more and more rapidly. But just anecdotally, in my own experience with investing and with other things, compound interest is one of the most powerful forces you can leverage.
And I have a few things written down here, Pete, just to
go for it.
Even further, right? So at 18, each dollar you save when you retire at 65 is worth $108. If you're 20, it's worth 88. If you're 28, it's worth 30. If you start investing $1, like that $1 is only worth $23 when you invest it when you retire at 65. So basically, your dollar is worth $84.77 more investing it 12 years earlier. So it's a massive change. It's a massive difference. If you just invest when you're 18, $78 a month, you will retire with $1 million in your bank. I mean, in your investments.
And you don't touch it. You don't have to spend it.
And that's only $78 a month. So, I mean, I know some people are in a harder situation than I am, but $78 a month, if I don't go out and get coffee, let's just say 5 divided by 80, I'm blanking now, 16 times. If you get coffee 6 times a month, 16 times a month at 18, you theoretically, and I don't even think that math is right, it's close, but you could be a millionaire with that money alone. Like, the power of it initially at the beginning is so strong. People just don't understand, and I think people should definitely value that more. And some of this stuff I'm getting is from a show called The Money Guy Show, which is like an investment advisor. I think he does great work. I don't agree with everything that he says, but I definitely think that it's a good starting point for people. And that's just like one of those little teeny plugs that I wanted to have.
Well, there's another system of control. All right, financial literacy. Why are we not taught, as part of the core curriculum in elementary school, how to not go into debt and how to stay out of debt?
So, Pete, I called my local high school that I went to.
Yep.
And I called them and said, hey, I'm a CPA. I'm at one of the biggest accounting firms in the whole entire nation. I am more than happy to come in and lend 2 days of my time, PTO that I would take on myself, to go through and teach your classes about it. Never got a call back. I'm going to call back again this week. I'm going to try. But if I can talk to say 100 people that day and 100 kids, and if even 5 of them get that understanding, their future spouse is also doubled. So if that's 2 days, I've touched 20 people's lives. Maybe they'll touch another 5 people's lives, and then you can just grow. People will just, around money, people are just so scared to talk about it, Pete. And I think that's another system of control that we've made. So
the taboo around discussing finance, 100%. And obviously,
your dad made, like when you were growing up, did you know how much your household made, Pete?
Well, my father was a teacher, so his income was public.
But you know what I mean. Like,
I take your point. I absolutely take your point. Yep.
So for me, like, that's just another system of control that people are just, it's just so natural. I mean, talking to people about work, money. I don't do that at my new firm, but my old firm, I knew what everybody made. I mean, for me, it was so liberating. It was something that made me feel more comfortable with my own life. and made me understand stuff. And I mean, 72% of Americans worry about money every single day, Pete. And I mean, I'm an American, so I definitely have more of an American mindset on things. 72% of people are worried about money every single day.
Yeah, well, and then
How
you
much
go,
stress
and
that
then
creates
let's
mental
assume
health. Like,
you go and you are successful, and then you have a medical emergency, and that sets you back to zero in your late life. It seems, again, kleptocracy. It seems like the system is designed to rob you.
correct.
Well,
Correct.
what are we gonna do about that?
I mean, I think it's the small things, Pete. I mean, changing people's mindsets to go back to more logical thinking than emotional, not take the easy path. I mean, you and I talked about it slightly before this podcast. I mean, I had a child when I was a sophomore in college, and I still came out of college debt free, saved up for a house. I was working tons of hours, interning, going to school. I was taking 21 credit hours a semester, just trying to get through because I knew that this was the achievement where I wanted to go in my life. And then I got a house about a year and a half after. And one of the dumb financial decisions I did, it took up 52% of my income for my mortgage, Pete.
Mhm.
My first house, but I knew I wanted to have kids. So I have 2 kids at home, third one on the way. And for me, I just knew where I wanted to go in life, and I thought about it logically, and I did math around it. And that liberated me to think in this type of way.
Do you sleep a lot? It sounds like you're pretty busy.
So I sleep about 8 hours a day.
Well, you're
So
very efficient with your time.
I mean, you have to be. I mean, it, nowadays we have the luxury of being lazy. I mean, our ancestors didn't. I mean, they were high octane all the time. I consider myself somewhat high octane, but when I talk to some of my friends, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. It feels like, but I try to make every, moment of my day count. I try to take some time to relax. I play Risk, go through and hang out with my family. I'll play Risk when I'm sitting there with them. I love playing caps because I don't have to pay attention the whole time, right?
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
so I go through and I do that. And I mean, I just think also like connection to family is so important. Like, I mean, I'll be the rock in my family when my dad goes. That's the way that it's probably going to be because I'm more of the stable going forward child. I mean, he's very stable, but it's just a scenario where it's those type of things, family, logic, hard work, I think are dying out in our world, especially in America, Canada, and Europe. I mean, I definitely think there's a lot of room for growth in that. So, but I guess my last thing on that subject of like investment is like your dollars are worth so much more when you're younger. It makes such a big difference, Pete. Like it's
Mm.
massively different. I mean, $5 can go a long way. I mean, I'm going to start talking to my kids about that. They're going to know how much I make, Pete. I'm going to talk to them about it. I mean, we're not going to live crazy. I think I'm going to do well. That's my hopefulness. I'm going to do well for myself. But I'm also going to go through there and have an open dialogue with my children. And this is how much we make, but I'm not going to let you live crazy. I'm not going to make you spoiled. My kids aren't going to have a cell phone until they're in middle school at the earliest. That's one of the things I've decided. Like, social media is a backbreaker. Ooh.
Exact same scenario as last game.
Now
Now
I
what
want to
happens?
kill him. I
Then
want to
kill
kill him, but
him.
I can't.
Then kill him. Why
I
can't you?
can't kill him though.
That's too bad.
Because I'd have to go through green, and I don't have enough. I mean, maybe, but the cards aren't worth it at this point. Piss off green. Me and green have a good thing
Can I
going.
ask you, have you ever seen anyone play these settings like that? Just pick on someone to attrition right away?
Yes, but usually it leads to suicide,
Yeah,
right?
usually
Like,
they lose because of it, right?
yeah, I mean, for
You
me,
have,
I, I tend to be very conservative, Pete. Like logically, like I
well, me
will if I
too,
kill
but
him,
it was the
I
right
kill him, I will
play.
be the strongest player, and then
Sure.
everybody's gonna hit me.
Right.
So I don't like being the strongest player. I like being in the middle of the pack, and
Well,
then at
you
the
wouldn't be the
end, I'm
strongest player
saved.
because we're still in the first sets.
Yeah, but nobody can kill me now, though. Like right now, nobody can kill me. They know that it's suicide if they attack me, Pete.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I'm in the strongest position on the board, I think, and I have the last set here. I'm just setting myself up more. Now I'm doing the math of who I'm going to potentially kill.
Well, I would worry about JJ if I were you because he skipped, so he's actually in the last set.
Yeah, but I don't know, I can kill him. I
Mhm.
guess that's like my thought process of like I'm not like I'm lined up for him. At
Well,
10 stack, I probably need to move out, but then purple, blue, or green's gonna be pissed.
then you should probably
So
take him before it's too late.
this sounds like it's a little bit self-serving.
No, look, obviously you should hit me too. Nobody
Yes.
should let me hold 3 bonuses.
I wasn't trying to say anything, Pete, but you look kind of
Oh,
tasty right
you're not gonna hit. You're not gonna hit me. That's crazy.
now.
That's crazy.
You're in,
I made black the tastiest fish in town.
yeah, but you're also in one spot on the board, and you guys just have to line up to
No,
hit you.
no.
I'll do it, purple. We're friends. Don't break the trust. But yeah, I mean, the other thing, kind of, I wanted to bring up the liberation of one's mind when they're free from debt. Um,
Ooh,
I,
okay.
I incurred some debt after college, and I have since paid it off. Now all I have is a mortgage. One of the plugs I wanted to have here was, do you know what mortgage means, Pete?
Yeah, till death, right? Death contract or something.
Death pledge. So
Pledge.
you are pledging that you will be paying this until you die.
Hmm.
Like that is like the idea is it's a death pledge. And for me, that's something that I saw that the first time when I was going through college, maybe even high school, and it just had a big impact on me of that somebody else has control over me in my life when I still have debt. So when I say I'm out of debt, I still have a mortgage. I'm not 27 and not have a mortgage. But all my other debt is free and clear. I don't have anything else. So for me, it just makes a bigger impact of this. I don't have to worry about paying down a credit card. I mean, it's a massive strife in people's minds, massive strife in potential marriages or between parents and children of them not thinking that it's going the right way. And I wrote a few things down here, and some of this stuff is from Dave Ramsey. I don't agree with him 100%. Some of his stuff is good, especially for people that aren't too financially literate, in my opinion. But the average American adult has $59,000 in debt. Average credit card debt is 14,000. Average student loans is 39. Average car payment is like 31. So that's coming directly from them. I don't know how all that stuff breaks up, blah blah blah, and so on. 78 Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 72% are feeling stressed about money. So there's just a massive. Sorry, I have to think.
Yeah,
It's just a
yeah.
massive
Gotta play your turn,
situation.
right?
uh, debt matters so much, and when you don't have that, you can think about your life differently. Like you don't have to do certain things if you don't want to.
Yes, freedom. The
Yes.
the people think of money in a lot of different ways. One of the ways that I've found to frame what money is money is the embodiment of power. So if we have, money is not an intrinsic thing that exists, right? It is not it's more conceptual than that. Ooh, is he gonna get it?
Yeah, I know.
Is he gonna get it? No!
Sorry, headphone users.
No, sir. No, sir. All right,
Now we run.
JJ wins from that now, for sure.
I give you bad rolls, or was I just dumb?
It
I couldn't
happens.
go through that 10.
Yeah, okay, so the way I see money, you put it nicely too, the way you said the time cost of money. So there is a temporal element. So money is a concept. It allows you to embody power. It is not a discrete intrinsic physical item as such.
Yeah.
And if you understand that money now is worth much more than money later, and that affects scales, then you can make more informed decision making, similar to how understanding the odds and risk influence your ability to know when to roll something, when it is correct to make a move, when it isn't.
So you're saying I made the incorrect move there, Pete?
No, I think the mistake you made that turn was doing the least risky moves first and doing the most risky move last. Right?
Yeah,
This is a
I definitely
lesson.
agree.
This is a risk lesson, guys. Seeing as how we are still on a risk podcast. The one thing you're going to want to pay attention to when you're making kills that will determine whether or not not only can I make this kill, but would failing this kill feed it to someone else's? If you are going to end up in any scenario that is less than 100%, you want to take that chance first, and then you can stop if it doesn't work, as opposed to what Johnny did, right? Was take the 2 easy rolls and then leave the risky one to last and basically totally feed the kill. Unless you want to feed a kill, which is also possible.
My thought process around that, Pete, was I hope Green wasn't going to be pissed.
He's going to kill me. I'd have said to. He's not even going to kill me. He's going to fail to kill me.
This is a great learning podcast.
It is.
I mean, I think that, I mean, I talk about money probably more than I should be, but for me, I just think I want to be somewhere that I hopefully my mortgage is paid off by the time I'm like 38. So I'm hoping, like, I think it's like a good projection for me. It might be earlier, but he's real. At least you get a set now, like you said. But I just think it's so liberating, you know, when you don't have debt and you can see that freedom, where people just get stuck in the monotony of, I'm always going to be poor. I'm never going to break out of this cycle. I'm not going to be able to do this. And I mean, there's a lot of great things about money, but also terrible things. And to give you like a little bit of an insight around money and millionaire status, the highest jobs that account for millionaires in the United States go from engineer, accountant, and then teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Why are doctors and lawyers not millionaires when they retire? Why?
They should be. I don't know why. What's wrong with your system? Well, sorry, doctors should be. Lawyers should not have jobs, but let's continue. Lawyers should be unemployed or actually produce value, forced into a sector of the economy that would actually produce something as opposed to being parasites. But people have heard me on that one before.
I think that people forget that part of making money is also not spending until you don't have anything.
Okay.
So I think that you can make all the money in the world, but if you sit there and just spend, and you have this debt, something that you're paying other people interest on, you just don't see your money going out the door. I mean, I have a budget every single month, every single dollar is accounted for. Talk about the Dave Ramsey show. I don't agree with him 100%, but he has a great free app that you can add in your income for the month and you can add in your expenses and you should net out to zero. And then you don't lose any money each month at that point. I mean, it's a free resource, so I use it. Just for me, I don't think that people pay attention enough, and they just think that they're always going to be in this constant cycle, but they don't do anything to break out of it. If I had to restart right now, say my college degree got wiped out, I didn't have any assets, I would immediately go into a trade. I wouldn't go into college anymore. It would take too much money, cost me too much. I'm going straight into a trade to hopefully, you know, get very good at it, build some customers, and then ride that out until retirement. I mean, in my line of business, I've seen people make tens of millions of dollars of doing that, Pete. Mm-hmm. People that are construction, plumbing, selling their business that they started from nothing when they were 25 years old, and they sold it at 55, and now they're selling it for massive amounts of money. But also, there's only so many of them that make that, right? I mean, there's only so many. Purple really hates you.
Well, he broke me first.
I know, that's what I don't get. I just think that people need to think about money more and how they can change their lives instead of being stuck in the same cycle. And maybe this career isn't the best for you, and you can make a move that long term is going to help you out. And it may not help you right now, and it may not be comfortable right now. Maybe you have to work 2 jobs to get by, but your future's better. Making that jump can help massively. You know, making that decision is just as important as, you know, executing it. The first jump is to go through and actually make the decision. So, all right, Pete. I don't think I can fail this one, but don't quote me. I always put 5 here.
I think JJ beats you in the 1v1.
He may, but that's the reason why I'm not going to kill you, because you only have 2 cards.
I see. You're going to leave me as the X factor.
Yes, but that's my thought process of this scenario. I'm not going to break JJ. See if we can come to some sort of agreement here.
Well, then we end up where we were last game.
That's true, but you're JJ is a little bit more threatening to you than me.
Oh, leaving JJ unbroken means he wins.
Does it?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. He's got 4 bonuses, and he has twice archery. He has enough. Well,
connection.
What?
I'm back.
At least you got the kill.
I lost connection, so I couldn't sit there and fortify. I'm back now. Oh, God.
All right, he kills me and then beats you in the 1v1 easy.
This one's a little bit more choky.
No, he kills me and beats you in the 1v1 easy. Is he going to kill you? I don't think so. What? Is he lining up to kill you instead? That doesn't make any sense.
He may.
Okay. He's going to kill you set, then kill me. I get second? I shouldn't get second.
I hope he fails.
I shouldn't get second.
This is when I hope True Random was on, so that way to have a chance. Actually, this is going to be... I don't think he gets it.
Yeah, he kills you.
I have that 26 down at the bottom.
Yeah, he'll get you. He has 3 ways to hit it.
Yeah, he didn't kill me. He feeds me.
Oh, I don't have cards, so...
Oh, thank God you don't have cards, buddy.
I think he could have killed you because he had 3 paths to hit your 26, right? If he went down from the top.
Yeah, but he still would have had to go through more material with that 12. I would have got him down to like a 7 there. He would have gotten a 9 there and an 11 there. So it would have been very close. I agree. All right, don't lose connection, please. All I can ask for.
And I'm getting good dice.
I also don't set by killing you, which is unfortunate.
Well, you still kill me, though.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's still not as good as it could have been.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think you... I think the move here was to break him. Right? That was the only way to keep me relevant, too. Because otherwise he goes for the kill.
All right, I'm paying attention. I know that,
yeah, don't
there's a wall. Well, see, since I'm super slow, I try to sit there and do that. So that way I don't feel like the super hardcore pressure of now I had to get as deep. Oh, get set on 3. That's sad. I should have taken that 26 out. But what are your thoughts on debt, Pete? I went through and I talked about it pretty heavily. I mean,
okay, so
what do you think around debt?
Debt
can be good? Can it be bad?
No, debt is almost exclusively bad. Like, the ability to leverage something into starting businesses that generate more resources, etc., is the good. And you do see communities that don't have access to healthy debt kind of stagnate. But if you're spending, and also if you're spending tomorrow's money versus today's money, as we discussed, you actually do pay slightly less. That's why there is an interest rate associated with this, right? He almost gets you. Runs out of time.
See, whatever. But as a noble player, I would have never stood a chance.
Yeah, he gets your next turn.
Well, he doesn't have cards.
So having a mortgage allows me to leverage less money into a more valuable asset, and then the bank gets a reasonable rate of return. Yep. So mortgage is good debt, but like doing things like car payments or even school loan. I know in the United States, post-secondary education is often financed through, what is it? You can't even give up this debt in bankruptcy now, which is another way to keep people enslaved in a very, very slick move that your politicians pull.
There's one thing that I'll definitely say, like, I definitely believe people need to pay back every single cent that they took out.
Sure.
Because
But
coming from my situation, like
yeah.
it hurts to see somebody get $10,000 given back.
No,
Like
but
what I
let's
went
say
through.
let's say you're a confused high school student and you get some sort of garbage liberal arts degree that qualifies you to work only in a job that they've created for you. Like let's say you're a gender studies major as an
Yep.
example, right? A nonsense degree that qualifies you for a nonsense job. And let's say you've gone into Hawk for this degree. So now not only are you not it's the same as the lawyers, right? Not only are you not producing value into the system, but you've actually gone into debt for this fake skill set. So it's just this horrible predatory system that, like, I have a lot of empathy for what is essentially a child in high school saying, well, like my parents' generation, my grandparents' generation, they went to university, they got good degrees, they got good jobs, and they had a stable, safe life. And it just isn't the case anymore because the predatory systems at play have gotten far more advanced at robbing you. And
I mean,
that's like, I went to university. I have an arts degree, right? I have a philosophy degree. It qualifies me to mow lawns. But one thing I didn't do was I didn't go into debt to get it. I worked.
yeah.
And now
I mean,
also
that was the same scenario that I came out with, but I had an
yeah,
accounting degree and a
right,
finance degree.
right.
So in the United States, you had to have 150 credit hours in order to get your CPA. So I did 2 degrees because it made more sense. I don't have it set, by the way, so this sucks.
Well, you were doomed from the get go, and you knew it.
I might.
Why are you choosing these? Why are you choosing these big maps?
I like them.
Fair
I don't
enough.
care. TP, I like to
You don't
have
care
fun.
if you win?
I don't
Yeah,
care
yeah.
much about the rank.
I can tell that you're doing good. What is your ranked? What is your highest rank, by the way? We actually didn't do a bio.
I'm ranked 950. It's like the highest. I'm like 1090 right now. Like I play these junky settings because I enjoy them, but when I lose hard type of deal. Oh, this is gonna hurt. I had a set, everything would have been different in this game. But then like he has to get a set in order to like beat me. Which one's worth more? I don't know. And I lost connection to the game.
Oh my god, your phone keeps disconnecting too, eh?
Dude, I don't know why. It's because I'm scared of playing with Pete.
No,
I was all the way through to Italy at that point.
Pete's the nicest guy. Come on now.
It's been very good talking to you. So I've enjoyed it. I mean, it's very rare that I can have a rational discussion with people and kind of get their thoughts and kind of get everything out there because people, I think, they're set on 3. I was doomed. I just think people aren't rational anymore. Their emotions take control. And like I've said from the beginning, I think that emotions playing a bigger part is just easy. Being rational is hard. Being emotional is easy. It's the first thing that comes to your mind. Being able to step back from a situation is super important. I mean, people cycling back to like things that Dave Ramsey says, but he says never to do anything financially when, say, your father or mother passes away from 6 months.
Yeah.
Because you're just so emotionally involved of, I don't want to ever be in their house again. But maybe 6 months from now, man, even this house was a great idea. I maybe not want to live in it, but now my kids need somewhere to go.
Yeah, well, this is how these parasite lawyers rob divorced couples too, right? It's like you're going through a trauma essentially, and yeah.
I see lawyer bills at like $500 an hour, and it's the most simplistic things. There's a reason why they bill you every 10 minutes. There's a reason why.
It's twisted. It's actually shocking to me that this profession has been allowed to iterate to entrenching themselves as essentially a priest class to something that should be easily understood. Are we doing one more game, sir?
I'm down to. I have more topics. I'm down if you have time.
What is there? I like a 2-hour show, so we'll do one more game. What would you like to play?
I think. I have to look. I don't know all the names by heart. I'm that guy. I actually enjoy Canada Advanced. It's one of the maps that I enjoy.
I love it too. And same settings? No blizzard, no fog?
Blizzard on this one. Blizzard, no fog.
Yes, blizzard. Okay.
And one of the other things I wanted to bring up too is like useless professions. Let's talk about real estate agents, Pete.
Ooh, that's a good. Well, it's actually
Oh
quite
God.
similar. So whenever you
It
have
triggers me. It
why,
triggers me of like,
because their
so
skill
if
set
I
is
was to
even
sell my
lower.
house right now, and
Yeah.
this is a little bit of insight about me, I'm not like I have a $400,000 house right now. I bought it for like $290.
Yep.
So if I sold my house right now, they get 6%. So that means that I go through and I have to give them 24 grand. My mortgage in my principal is $750. So if it's 24 grand divided by 750, I'm now paying 32 months of my principal payment or my mortgage payment to them. So 2.5 years of my life of my mortgage payment is now in their pockets, Pete. 2.5 years of my life of paying this down is now gone, obliterated, nothingness to me. I'm very passionate about this subject, and my mom's a real estate agent, so we have some interesting discussions.
You see exactly how the shakedown works.
Yes.
So okay, so they sign a contract on your behalf. They negotiate that contract on your behalf.
And you're
They don't
not allowed to
really
talk to the other person.
they don't really do anything else, do they?
Yeah, especially in this day and age. Like, if I thought about it, like a great company idea could be to go through and like just make something that just generates contracts, and two homeowners can sell it to each other. So
Yeah.
if I discount my house by 10 grand, I'm still making 14 grand off of it, Pete. If I'm not using a real estate agent,
It's just
it's
the
still 10
Airbnb,
grand
the
off the market.
Airbnb or the Uber of
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Well,
just for me, like, and I see some lawyers billing at like $1,000 an hour, Pete. Like, I see those bills. It's
mhm,
insane to me.
of course.
I have a pretty high bill rate. I go very in depth, and I think I help clients with stuff, and I save them money. Lawyers only are an expense. A lot of scenarios, like, and some of them they're not even needed.
Most of the time they're not needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but this doesn't shock me, right? If you were able to write the laws, you would do the same thing too.
I mean, I would like to make a lot of money.
Exactly. Exactly. So allowing a profession to leverage their greed for generations ends up with the system that we have where people are in debt slavery. Okay. Step 1, admit it's true, and then step 2, what are we going to do about it? Like as far as the real estate agent goes, they sign a contract on your behalf. Are you not able to negotiate?
And
It's
what
not.
they say is, hey, we're going to get you more value out of the house than it's going to cost you. Maybe on a $2-3 million house, I can maybe understand that. That's a huge thing. It is the biggest asset that most people will have in their whole entire life. But like I said, there's margin in there. 10,
Mhm.
10 grand. And that's if I discount it 10 grand. I can go through and find very easy comps. And maybe I just oversell it and just see what the 6 offers I get and just pick the highest one. Because then that teaches me the market rate, right, Pete? Like if I have a Pokemon card and I get 1,000 offers for it, I can basically establish how much it really costs to
Right.
me, how much money I'm going to get. So it's not the day and age where I'm getting one offer every 30 days like it used to be. We're now in a market that's turned over so massively. Um, it's just important. Pete, would we be cool if I take that little Yukon right there, buddy?
You want Yukon?
I mean, I don't know another place I can get. I mean, there's only one other spot that I can possibly get. I'm going to go for the other spot. I don't trust you.
I was going to say Greenland looks fine.
Yeah, I mean, if I had this start in one of the first 3 spots, I would have been really upset.
Mm-hmm.
Greenland's my only spot, and I don't want to piss off Black.
Why? Because he killed you last game?
Well, I mean, one of JJ's is one of the guys that I've always enjoyed watching him play.
Okay.
So like, there's a few people that like I see that like, okay, I can rationalize, I can understand your play. Like, I can understand your play, Pete. I can understand Kilted. I can understand Spud. I can understand JJ. Like, those are just a few that come to my mind. Like, there's some people that I just like.
I can't.
Harlox is like a perplexion to me. Like, he's
So,
very perplexing.
if you understand Kilted so well, why did he suicide into me last game? Let's see if you get the reason.
That's because that's the way Kilted is. He's more like me. Of like, if he wants to suicide you, he's just gonna do it. He doesn't care. He just doesn't care.
Right.
So like, if somebody takes a good start from me at the beginning of the game, I don't care if I lose. I will kill them. Like, if it was my place to take, my continent to take, I will kill you. Like, even if I lose. That's the reason why my rank doesn't go up. I lose like 500 like in one match sometimes. So But yeah, I mean, let's see here. All right, here's the big one, Pete, and I saved it not till the end, but one of the big ones.
The big one. Let's go.
Gun control.
Sure.
Oh
Okay.
God,
Yeah.
I'm a big believer that gun control laws need to be reduced, and I have a good amount of facts written down here. I believe that there's a lot more crimes inherently prevented by guns than there actually are done by guns. And I just want to read the Second Amendment to us here. A well-regulated militia be necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Right.
So I'm a believer that I think there is a limit. My limit is jets and nukes, Pete. If somebody wants to own a tank, I think that is part of a well-regulated militia.
Okay.
The U.S. government can take down a tank if they needed to. Jet and nukes can cause bigger issues. So that's where I make a huge difference and a huge stink. But automatic weapons, I don't think that those should be banned. I think that that's something that people should be able to have. Just a few high-level facts. 94% of mass shootings are occurring in gun-free zones. Mm-hmm. So if you take, and that's since 1950. And if you take it from January 1998 to December 2015, it's 96%. So people are going places where they strategically know in the U.S. have guns. It's what I would do in that situation. I mean, I think those people are terrible, heinous. They deserve to be, executed. And we can cycle back to the capital punishment later. But I think that having guns, especially in a place like the United States where we are so geographically dispersed, just like Canada, makes a huge difference. In terms of timing of response, the usage, I could be out on a 100-acre piece of land. No cop's going to get there in time for me, Pete. They're just not. I need to be prepared for the criminal that's going to have a gun. If I hand all my guns in, and everybody does in my whole entire state of Virginia, criminals will still have guns. It's not going to stop. The United States is too hard and too big to keep illegal drugs to be coming in. So how are illegal guns not going to be coming in? So I need to be able to protect my family, and I need to have the same, tools that others have at that point.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I would approach it on a systems level, and I would say, let's make sure that no citizens have guns. Let's make sure that no illegal guns or no legal guns. So, I would want ultimately to see something like a complete ban on all ownership of guns, if I had to choose.
So
and the downside of that, if I could erase guns from that, yes. The downside of that would obviously be how much do you trust your government?
I don't trust my government at all.
Exactly. So that is the biggest criticism. Like, to your point about illegal guns entering the country, yeah, you want to defend your family. Well, that already sounds like a failed state to me. The fact that you have that as a concern tells me that your society is very, very horribly broken, and I don't think the solution to that is more guns. You know what I'm saying? Like, adding even more weapons, you're just escalating, right?
For me, the thought process is geographically.
Yeah.
The United States is so dispersed, and we have so many avenues of coming in illegally.
Right.
Great Britain, United Kingdom, whatever.
Yep.
Where can guns come in from there? Yep. Where can they come in from France? Where can they come in from Spain? Where are guns going to come into them? They have one border. Basically watch that border. I equate it to illegal drugs because we can't stop that coming in. How are we not going to be able to have criminals running, guns?
We can. We don't choose to, right? We're not taking it seriously. So if you want to say we cycle back to how I would approach this, I would say once you have decided to take a problem seriously and you remove the bad actors from the equation, then you have an effective solution to a problem. So if you were serious about stopping gun violence, and you were serious about saying nobody gets to own guns, when guns appeared, you would remove those people. Or you don't pretend to be serious, and either way is fine.
What type of the independent freedom, the individuality, Pete?
Yeah.
My family could theoretically be killed at that point. That person would be arrested. Yep. It's been their life in jail.
Yep.
For me, it's a scenario where I don't want to take that risk. Just like what I talked about
No,
earlier.
and I
can
don't
make that
blame
move.
you. You are making a rational action. You're making a rational decision given the fact that you live in a failed state.
And I'm a huge advocate of having guns and having that to protect yourself. But if I had that switch, like I said, if I could eliminate all guns in the world, I would do it.
Right. Yeah, so
For
we
me,
mostly agree.
it's about me of like, I don't like people enjoy shooting guns, but if they could say that, hey, worst case scenario, somebody's coming at you with a knife, you can still do a lot of damage with a knife, but you can't do these huge things or even like a family. You know what I mean? It's going to take a lot longer, be more annoying to the person trying to kill. It's too easy, just like cycling back to what I said earlier, for people to kill with a gun.
Yeah.
Compared to going in there with something else. I mean, cars are still extremely dangerous too. We saw that in I think Charlottesville, in Virginia here at a rally. So somebody used their car as a deadly weapon. So it's just, to me, if somebody else has that tool, I'm going to need it too.
Yep. Makes sense.
I'm not going to sit there and degrade my family's protection for that. But that being said, if I had the scenario where I could go through and wipe out all guns, I would end up doing it.
Yep.
I think that would be better.
Yeah.
But that is never going to happen. So
that my favorite slogan.
There we go. But see,
that is never going to happen.
The United States, Pete? How many guns are inside of the United States? It's more than any other country in the world. How do we get all those guns away? Even if 5% stay, that's enough to arm all Americans.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, like,
which
no way.
Well, there's no way to change something that you don't believe is possible to change. So we accept our slavery. We accept the fact that we live in a failed state. It is the way it is. Okay.
See, I think slavery is different than gun ownership. I don't think that is necessarily.
No, sorry. Mental slavery, right? Whenever you say something like, we can't change it because that's just the way it is, you are accepting things the way they are and resigning yourself to the inevitable.
Pink, why would you do this?
Why would you take an extra card?
Yeah, why would he put stuff in the bonus I'm clearly trying to take?
Well, he's dead, so
I mean,
I don't think he cares.
Yeah, but I mean, it made no sense for him to like.
Well, there was no safe place for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean, that was definitely not a safe place.
Right.
So, I mean, I could have maybe killed him there, but also I don't want to have a target on my back for four troops. I mean, I would definitely say, like, I will never give up my guns until somehow a flip condition. Like, that's just not what's going to happen.
Sorry, you'll never give up your guns
until every single gun can somehow be wiped out, which in my opinion can never be. And I'm part of the issue at that point, right? Like, that's what people would say.
Yeah. So that logic is an escalation logic. Right? I mean, I need this weapon to defend myself from bad actors because I do not have faith.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
I keep on cutting you off.
It's all good. You're very amped up, as you said.
For me, I think that we live, like, compared to 500 years ago. Imagine how safe we are, Pete.
Yeah, very much so.
I equate it to, and like, I think that it's not the best scenario, but like sending your wife to the store, you can feel a lot more comfortable now than 500 years ago.
Right.
Or like even sending your children, like, say, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Like, you know what I mean? I feel more comfortable than 500 years ago. For me, it just makes a huge difference in the time that we live in. And I think that people forget that of the time that we live in now is one of the quote unquote safest in all of humanity. And that's one of the things I wanted to cycle back to. Like I said, I had a few things written down. In 2020, there are 13.6 gun deaths per 100,000 people in the United States. In 1974, it was 16.3. So why is it such a big thing now compared to back when? What is Black doing? Sorry, I was looking at my book.
You're doing the same thing I did to the other two people 2 turns ago.
Yeah. But for me, the other thing to remember is 6 out of 10 gun deaths in the United States are suicides. So I don't equate that to gun violence. So the gun violence, most of the metrics that you see inside the United States, and I dug for a pretty good amount of time, Pete, to try to find just murder rates with guns, very, very hidden. I cannot find, I think, a reliable source for this. Like, what I find is conservative websites that are clearly out there that I'm not going to rationalize, and that's part of the stepping away from just following the sheep mentality. I mean, being a sheep mentality. Mm-hmm. But I would definitely say that including suicides in there, I think, is not respective of the situation. I think
because the person who wanted to kill themselves would kill themselves anyways.
correct. I mean, there's a lot of suffocations, there's a lot of jumping off buildings, bridges, whatever. People will find a way. I think that it is the easier way. I won't deny that. But it's also just, I think that it's not correct to include that inside of your understanding. Imagine I need to add. Nobody can just wipe me. All right, I'm have to do some math on my turns here. I'm just gonna hide. So, but for me, I don't think that it's correct or even. I think that it is misleading people to include suicides inside of that number. United States is still pretty high, but there's a good amount of gun violence in poverty-stricken areas, and that's another thing for me of cycling back to helping out other countries before we help ourselves. We have so many homeless, we have so many people in poverty. Why don't we take that money from helping other countries and help ourselves first?
Oh well, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I think the United States could help their poor and help other countries and not allow Donald Trump to shit on another golden toilet. I think it's not us versus them in terms of us versus the poor in other countries and the poor in our own, right? That you're pitting people in the poor class against each other, which is ridiculous.
What I'm saying, Pete, is I think I disagree with you on the nationality subject. I am definitely America first,
right.
Then we help other people. So I think that's one of our biggest disagreements.
Yes, but you failed. But you live in a failed state, as you said, right? You are willing to accept the premise that you have to arm yourself in your own country.
But is that a failed state, though, Pete? Like, I think going back to that earlier, like, I think that you can qualify so many things as a failed state. I mean, I think the EU are all failed states. I mean, I think Canada is all a failed state. You talk about debt increasing, Pete. The per capita debt is increasing faster inside of those countries than the United States. So, like, eventually they will fail. So, at what point do we qualify what's a failed state? Like, we can't objectively choose different things for a failed state because different failed state means different things to different people. I feel more comfortable in the United States than any other country in the world. I mean, I don't like the idea of not having a gun inside of England, even if I moved there. I don't trust people. People are not inherently good. It's very, very rare to find an inherently good person anymore. I mean, I try to be as nice as I can. I try to be as genuine as I can. But I just don't think that the world is set up to be that way anymore. It's just not what we used to be. We're not friends with our neighbors anymore. We're not friends with people. We look after our friends and family alone. We don't try to help others. Very few people do.
Here's how I qualify it. Here's how I qualify a failed state. Our children, our high school age children, are arming themselves and shooting up crowds. Instead of stopping that from happening, we accept that it is happening, and our solution is to arm the rest of us. That's how I qualify a failed state. No, I don't accept your premise, and I think the escalation makes things worse, not better. Yeah.
For me, like what I talked about,
I get that you're afraid. You should own a gun, right? Because crazy people might kill you with guns. You're making a rational decision, right? The part that the place where we're disagreeing is you're saying the United States would be better if they spent less money helping out other nations, and I'm saying the United States would be better if the business and political class wasn't robbing you blind. That's the place we seem to disagree.
For me, I don't completely. I think it's extremely hard in the current environment that we have for the politics not to be robbing us blind. I think they're robbing you blind. EU, they're robbing you blind.
Yes.
Africa, they're robbing you blind. Everybody is. So I think it's just in a different form than it ever has been before. It used to just be rich people, right? That's who used to rob, the poor people blind. But for me, cycling back to gun control, and I think that's the thing that you and I disagree with most. And I definitely think that that's the reason why I said, hey, it's the big one. I think that having guns is important, and then also I think that it's a fake quote. But it is important nonetheless. The United States having a gun behind every single blade of grass by that Japanese general. I think that it hasn't been confirmed that it ever actually was said. But it is something interesting to think about, right? Where, people, I would say, were intimidated back in the day by the U.S. having that. It was a preventative measure of, could you take the whole entire United States? Could you? Because you would have to, just like us breaking bonuses and risk. You would have to take every bit of it in order to beat them down. That's what would have to happen. I mean, Germany didn't stop at half of France. They took the whole thing. They knew better. They had to squash everybody, otherwise they knew there would be resistance.
Yes.
So I think there is still some relevance to that. I mean, I still think the government would destroy so many people, but also with the military half flip and half the military would be against, like, if the people rose up. So, like, I think having those guns is important and is critical to American society of, we can do something. Canada, they could go and take all your hunting rifles away and just tell you what to do. And how are you gonna, like, fight back, Pete? Like,
a lot of people love hunting up here. I know it's the gun control thing in Canada is way stricter than the United States, and I don't think it's correlated with us having less gun violence. I think your gun violence is cultural.
But how do you change the culture then, Pete?
Well, I don't think the solution is arming more people. I don't think more guns. I think that makes people even more violent.
See, I'm not advocating for more guns, Pete.
Right.
I think that's another thing that I probably did not suggest as much. I'm not an advocate of more guns. I am an advocate of having one. I think that we could stop production, and that would be fine with me.
Yeah.
I don't think that we need to continually make more. But having one's important to me.
Oh no, I very much take your point. You're not an advocate for this. From like, I'm gung ho, I love guns. You're begrudgingly accepting reality, saying things are fucked and I need to defend myself.
And that's where I discuss rationally. I tend to go through things and do it that way instead of another way around.
Are you going to do this now? How are you going to get all the way around? What are you doing?
I'm not.
I'm
not. I'm wiping you out so somebody else can kill you.
No.
Thank you, buddy.
No.
This is another question that you can completely avoid, Pete. But I've always thought that I wanted to ask you about it.
Give her.
And it could be too personal, so you can tell me to shut up.
Yeah.
I have 2 kids, and I want to have like 6.
Okay.
Why did you choose not to have kids? And that can be too personal. You can tell me, Jonathan.
Well, I was with a partner with chronic illness.
Okay.
Who was 7 years my senior. So the decision to have children had to have been made then hastily. So for health reasons and for other reasons, right? There's a very real risk associated with the health of your children as correlated with the age of the mother, right?
Yes, I 100% agree.
So given that those circumstances were what they were at the time, I said, well, the responsible decision for me, no, Carter, no, you ran out of time. Oh, man. No, I got no set. I got
you don't have a set?
No.
Yeah, no. Blue wins.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay,
you could have a fifth.
That's completely understandable, Pete. If I was in the same situation as you, I would probably make the same election at that point.
You know how you were talking earlier about not making decisions emotionally?
Mm-hmm.
I think the greatest example of that is not making humans accidentally. If I'm going to have children, which now I may, right? If I meet a partner who is amenable to that, we don't know, right? But if I'm going to have children, I'm going to have them on purpose. I'm not going to have them accidentally, which is very much a luxury, right? Human beings have never been in this situation, but for the last, 2 generations, right? Since the 60s, where we've had the ability to say...
Is that an emotion, or is that an animalistic instinct?
What do you mean?
Procreate.
Oh, we have an instinct to procreate, for sure.
What I'm saying is, like, when I was in college, I had a child when I was in my sophomore year.
Yep.
So mine was more not emotional. I did not mean to have a kid. I'm very, very happy that I did. But for me, it was more of like an animalistic thing. It was more of like, hey, like, just like you, Pete, I was very animalistic at that point.
No, right on. And you're fulfilling your destiny as a man, right? It is your destiny as a human to create more humans.
And for me, I like the idea of, helping somebody be what I couldn't. Giving them the options that I did not have. So,
Hey man, I'm from 3. I think 3 is a great number. You say you got 1 on the way. God bless you.
I'm gonna have 3 boys, Pete. 3
Wow.
boys.
Exciting.
Their birthdays are all going to be within 31 days of each other, Pete.
You got a lot to
the
teach
same
them,
time
I'm
year.
sure. It's beautiful. Our culture does not glorify parenthood the way it should. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people in my, my group that I came up with, my cohort,
Yeah.
they're not having kids. I mean, I already have 2 and about to have 3 on the way. I'm 27. Like I said, I don't want to have 6. 35 is kind of like the cutoff for us, like when she reaches 35. But some of my generation, talking to them, they're going to have kids at 35. Yep. But they're only going to get 1 or 2 kids out. Like, they explicitly say that. So, like, for me, 1 or 2 kids is like what Elon Musk said. It was like, it's not the way of the future. I mean, having more kids is going to be able to help the world forward. And for me, I want to not only help my children, but make sure the world is a place that I want to leave them. And that's what a lot of my thought process are. What am I going to leave my kids? That's the reason why, like, for me as a conservative, I'm like, this environmental thing scares me. I don't think it's as bad as, to lack of better words, Democrats say versus Republicans, saying that it doesn't matter. I'm somewhere in the middle of like, hey, we need to think about it, but we can't stop everything. Progress still has to occur.
Well, let me ask you this. What benefit do you see from self-identifying as a conservative?
For me, I think the way that I identify as conservative is because that's who I'd be voting for. I agree with you that yes, political parties suck, but also they suck in the sense of I have to pick one or my side will lose. The one that I agree with most.
Yeah, so again, this is just us allowing the mental slavery, right? We are accepting the system of control and we are operating within it. Which is fine if you're doing that eyes open, right? If you're making that choice in an informed way, you're saying, okay, given the fact that things are the way they are, I will try my best to work within the model. What I like to talk about is, wow, this model is unacceptably flawed, and usually what you do with garbage is you throw it out. So what would it look like if we talked about fixing it?
And for me, Pete, one of the things I like to bring up is I feel like politicians are not nearly as intelligent or forthcoming as they used to be. I mean, I consider myself an above average intelligence. I don't mean to stroke my ego.
I don't
consider myself super intelligent, but I don't consider myself average.
Okay.
So for me, I mean, there used to be very intelligent people in our political systems, people that set things up the right way and wanted to do the right thing. Now people, I feel like they just want money. And they're trying to make a name for themselves. They're not there for
they're parasites.
They're there for themselves.
Yeah, they're parasites.
Yes.
Yep.
And I mean, I've always thought about running for office, but then like for me, there's a lot of repercussions for that, right? Like you're going to go through, you're going to put your family through it. Your job's going to know about it. They're going to know I'm a conservative. I'd probably lose my job at that point. Pete,
well, that's how twisted is that? You want to talk about signs that you're living in a failed state. If you can self-identify as politically and lose your job because of it, you're living in a failed state.
Admit that they're conservative more than liberal, because I mean Canada, of course, we know is a more liberal state at that point, like by far.
Well, I'm both. I mean, I'm both and neither, right? I'm proud. I'm proud to share certain conservative ideals because
which one's more talked about and people more open about, being a liberal or conservative?
I don't think you talk about it at all in private conversation, right? I don't think it's anyone's
in the political sphere. Let's just say that then. Like people are a lot more fine to admit, hey, I am, and I'm very. It made sense I was going to die, but such is life.
Yes, such is life. I don't think he gets you either. He just has enough time, maybe.
He should have enough.
Let's see. Yeah, do the splits right. The Arctic archipelago is a tricky one for pathing.
I don't have cards anyway, so
he misses you. Gives it to Carter. Oh, just in time.
Got me?
Just in time. GG.
But yeah, I mean, I would definitely say like it's very depressing having a two-party system, but it's going to take time to change that. And I mean, for me, like I said, I've always thought about running for office, and I think that's something I might consider later on in my life. I feel like I can make some differences in people's lives.
Yep.
But also, it's a very, I would say, if you're trying to do things the right way, selfless thing to do. You're gonna offer yourself up to the vultures. that point?
I ran for office about a decade ago, so I do have an experience with this. Um, and what I can tell you is at that time it was selling something to people for free that they had no interest in talking to you about. So the general level of apathy shocked me at the time, but now I understand it to just be learned helplessness, right? Your point about, well, things are the way they are, so we have to accept them. It's like, well, I've always taken a different approach. And I've always been interested to talk about systems design and systems redesign because I feel like that is our only road out from the slavery,
Yeah,
from the systems of control.
yeah. I mean, I just don't know when you remove your control system, Pete. That
Yeah.
means if people aren't in the right place to put in the correct control system, a worse one can occur.
Yeah, definitely.
So
It's scary.
I think that's probably one of the scarier things. If I don't trust my government to put in the correct control system, I just don't, Pete.
Yeah,
Like if I gave
I'm
them a
not talking about
clean
letting
slate,
them do anything. I'm talking about replacing them with competent people.
yeah,
Selecting
but
for
how do you do
actual,
that, right?
how do you replace, well,
Yeah.
the way you would design a system of decision making to be distributed is the first thing is you would want to do is decouple the tribal chieftain from the equation. So we don't need human beings making decisions for things as complicated as nation states and multinational corporations in 2022 because that's insane. It's too hard. Not anyone could make a good decision, and even assuming that they could, they're going to make selfish ones, obviously, because they're human. So how do we
Yep.
correct for that?
And I think that's a good point to jump off. I mean, I think that we've had a really good discussion, Pete. One thing I wanted to ask you though, and go into a little bit: do you believe in aliens? Yes or no, Pete?
Yes.
Okay. And I wanted to share some numbers that I looked up earlier
Sure.
about aliens. I'm a believer in aliens too.
Cool.
I thought this was really cool. There's 100 to 2 billion galaxies in the universe. So that means that there's an estimated 10 trillion planets in the whole entire universe. So that's 25 zeros, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
25 zeros. That is more than all the grains of sand on the earth, which is 7.5 sextillion, which is only 17 zeros. So the likelihood of us being the only life form is extremely low. And then also one of the most interesting things that I like to think about is, are we the first developed species or
Right.
advanced species? Or are we the last?
What is your solution to the Fermi paradox if you had to pick?
Say again. I'm
Oh,
not like a
sorry.
freaking
Okay, so
memory person. You can't.
The Fermi paradox is I'll look it up before we end the show.
I'm not
So
a very good
no,
I'm very math centric instead of
it's
like
very
science.
much about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So here it is. The Fermi paradox is the conflict between the lack of clear, obvious evidence for extraterrestrial life and their various high estimates, as you're saying, for their existence. If life is so easy, someone from somewhere must have come calling by now. So the idea is that since it's so much more likely that there are aliens than there aren't, why haven't we experienced them?
So
And
I think that we have, Pete. That's the
okay,
other thing that I would say is like we don't now. They could have taken a step back. They helped us initially. I mean, if you think about it, we could have been farmed. The asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs could have easily been farmed, Pete. I mean, they could have had DNA, whatever. They could have planted the seeds after the dinosaurs were wiped out, right? So one of the things I like to talk about is the pyramids, just like most people that believe in aliens. So 2.3 million stones were what some of these pyramids were made out of. Some of them taken from hundreds of miles away, and they were perfectly placed into a correct pyramid. And then over top of that, sandstone was put on there that is now eroded, but is perfectly seamless, perfectly put together. Some of these were hundreds of tons moved by humans, which we couldn't even do now. So, like, how did they do it back when? If they were just using ropes, I mean, they were using water potentially to help roll logs to move these massive stones through the desert, or floating them down the river in boats that couldn't support it. So, like, I don't understand people's like thought process for that. And then pyramids all over the world, pictures of things in the sky. Why weren't they on the ground talking to us? Maybe it's a higher level being. Like, there's just so much evidence in that stuff, and that's just the stuff that we have now, not the stuff that was erased, Pete.
mm-hmm.
Just it doesn't make sense to me. And this is like one more thing, and I say like a little bit more crazy thing for the end here. Me and my brother, we saw 6 or 7 lights in the sky moving very quickly in formation and moving different from each other, very high up. And I believe that was aliens. I don't go through and publicize that talking to people that much, but me and him were both there and we both looked at it. Maybe it could have been human. I don't take that as confirmation, but it does help me lean myself in these pyramid situations, help me lean myself. And also the math around all these different planets helps me lean myself. I think that we've only seen 14, I mean, like 4,000 planets, like exoplanets that could actually support life out of all these inside of the universe. So there has to be somebody else out there, and odds are they've seen us and they've been to us.
Well, I'll link the Wikipedia article to the Fermi paradox too, and you can see which one of these you weigh in on. My conclusion is somewhere between it is the nature of intelligent life to destroy each other or destroy itself, or the one that I think actually is the case is civilizations only broadcast detectable signals for a brief period of time. I think once we achieve the technology to travel between worlds, lose interest in overtly contacting other aliens.
I
Or
think we need to lose interest now, Pete.
well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. You and I could probably talk forever. I'm grateful for your time here. Um, Definitely not what I expected, and we could have, probably gone down any of those threads for much, much longer. So I look forward to chatting with you again.
Yeah. It
And
was great, man. I appreciate you giving me this audience and
thank you very
having this
much. Yeah.
discussion. I mean, hopefully I've gone through and, help stimulate some people's interest in some of these subjects. I don't want to change any minds. I want people to change their own. But hopefully I
That's a good way to put
stimulated.
it. I don't want to change any minds. I want people to change their own. Is
Yep.
probably how I'm going to caption the show, because that's a fantastic thing to end on. Thank you,
There
man.
you go, Pete. I got you, buddy.
Love it. Love it. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you found some of this fun and entertaining, maybe even a little bit educational and informative. If you are interested in getting better at the game of Risk, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Come along the ride with me. I have a daily release on YouTube and I stream on Twitch frequently. Check my page for the upcoming schedule. If you're able to support me on Patreon, help me continue this work, I would be most grateful. Donations are always appreciated, never required. Join my Discord and get notifications for when I go live on Twitch. Enjoy the next stream. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, for all of you on the path to world domination, good games and good luck.